Olivia accidentally burned her nephew, Leo, while preparing formula. This left a large scar on his face and chest. Yet, Olivia proudly claimed it was the unique dragon scales of a child born in the year of the dragon, declaring him a dragon baby, destined to soar to great heights. I tried my best to convince Olivia, and she finally agreed to take her son for scar removal surgery. I painstakingly cared for and nurtured Leo, eventually helping him grow up like any normal person. But when Leo grew up, Olivia incited him, telling him I had destroyed his dragon scales, turning him into an ordinary person. He harbored resentment. Wah, wah! The furious cries of a baby hammered at my head. I slowly opened my eyes, gazing at the familiar scene, feeling a sense of bewilderment. I had been reborn to a time before that ungrateful wretch pushed me from the top floor. I looked around the living room in a daze. The baby bottle lay shattered on the floor, formula milk scattered everywhere. The baby in the crib was crying himself hoarse. My mother, Sarah, rushed out of her room. Seeing the large burn blister on Leo's face, she cried out in anguish. "Oh my heavens, my precious grandchild, what happened to him?" Olivia impatiently pushed Sarah aside. "What do you know, Mother? I deliberately burned him. This is called dragon scales. Only babies born in the year of the dragon have them. My son will transform into a dragon later, soaring to great heights, becoming superior to all others." Hearing these absurd words, I was even more certain that I had been reborn to a time before I interfered in other people's affairs. In my previous life, on this very day, the conversation was exactly the same, except then I was soft-hearted. Despite Olivia and Sarah's objections, I rushed the baby to the hospital. Because he received timely treatment, even though Leo was left with a large scar, with good care and multiple scar removal surgeries, he was able to recover normally. I dedicated myself to raising my nephew, even choosing not to marry or have children of my own. Yet after he grew up, Leo listened to Olivia's instigation, claiming that I had healed his scars, making the dragon baby lose his dragon scales and become a flawed dragon, unable to soar to great heights or surpass others. Those two, mother and son, pushed me from a high-rise building for my inheritance, staging it as an accidental fall. The agonizing pain of falling from that height still seemed to linger in my body. I took several deep breaths to steady my emotions. The baby's hoarse cries still rang in my ears. When I opened my eyes again, there was no longer any emotion in them. In my previous life, it was my soft heart that led to that end. This life, I want to see how high your dragon baby can truly fly. "You wretched girl, what are you standing there for, dumbfounded? Call an ambulance now." Sarah shoved me hard, her face filled with worry. But at that moment, a sudden panic seized me. In my previous life, after I died, I wasn't immediately reborn, nor did I reincarnate. My soul hovered beside my own corpse. I watched, aghast, as my mother and father helped Olivia and Leo dismember my body and dump it into the sewers. I truly didn't understand. I was their biological daughter. Why did they treat me like that? Why did they treat me like that? My hands clenched into fists. Before I could speak, Olivia next to me began to shriek. "Nobody is to call 911. Nobody is taking him to the hospital." Olivia spoke, gazing at the wailing baby with an absurdly gentle expression. "This is my son, my dragon baby. He will definitely soar to great heights and become superior to all others." Hearing these brainless words, I let out a cold laugh. But the child is in so much pain now, this isn't good," Sarah stammered, but Olivia glared at her. "You illiterate old hag, what do you know? Only through suffering can one become truly superior. My son will surely be the most outstanding person." Sarah sensed something was wrong. She looked at me, her eyes finally lighting up. "Jane, you studied medicine, you must understand this best. Quickly tell your sister-in-law if this is okay." I lowered my gaze, concealing the deep sarcasm in my heart. "Mother, hot water will burn the epidermis and deep nerves. If not treated promptly, it can cause facial paralysis, even facial muscle necrosis." I spoke calmly, but immediately saw Olivia glare at me ferociously. Before Olivia could say anything, I spoke again, but Olivia is the child's birth mother. She couldn't possibly harm her own child, so her method might actually work. Then Olivia looked at Sarah with disgust. "See, don't talk nonsense again. You know nothing about raising children, so don't ramble on here." She then gazed at the ceaselessly wailing baby with an incredibly gentle look. "My darling, you must try your best. All of mother's hopes are placed on you. You must become superior to everyone else. The baby's incessant wails, Olivia interpreted as validation for herself. Sarah stood beside her, a little hesitant, but finally sighed and said nothing. From start to finish, I didn't utter another word. The pain of my previous life, this time, I absolutely would not repeat it. Mother, I have work at the hospital. I'm leaving now, I said calmly and walked straight out of the house. The moment the door closed, the baby's cries were sealed within the room. Once again bathed in sunlight, this time I felt as though I had truly come back to life. Looking at the brilliant sunlight, I felt a slight sting in my eyes. Heaven still had mercy on me, granting me a chance to start over. This time, I would live a wonderful life of my own, absolutely free from those blood-sucking, ungrateful wretches. Back at the hospital, I wiped my face and put on a look of profound sorrow. My relationships at the hospital were excellent. Sure enough, after I put on this expression, everyone couldn't help but come and ask what was wrong. Didn't you say you were taking the day off to visit your nephew? Why do you look so gloomy now? Dr. Miller, the office head, asked me. After all, when Olivia was pregnant, she had her prenatal checkups at our hospital. Throughout that period, she caused no small amount of trouble, offending many people, especially using my name to demand one thing after another. If I hadn't repeatedly apologized to everyone afterward, I probably wouldn't have been able to work at this hospital anymore. Everyone else in the office looked at me curiously, but it was also because of this that they knew how much Olivia treasured her precious child. Even your parents? Isn't it your sister-in-law again, using your nephew as an excuse to bully you? Sophie, a colleague, spoke up indignantly, looking at me with angry eyes. I'm telling you, Jane, you're too kind-hearted. You endure things like this. If it were me, I absolutely wouldn't tolerate it. Others nearby gathered, murmuring. Exactly, her sister-in-law's ridiculous antics during her pregnancy with the nephew were truly unheard of. And scientific prenatal care? I've never seen anyone practice scientific prenatal care like her. She just stuffed herself with food. Her belly was frighteningly huge. Fortunately, nothing went wrong during childbirth, otherwise, she might have tried to blame our hospital too. Everyone around was complaining. I couldn't help but sigh and smile at them. I know this is all my fault, I shouldn't have. In short, I apologized to everyone. Seeing me say that, my colleagues felt a little awkward. Oh, you don't need to apologize, we're just saying. The main problem is your sister-in-law is unreasonable and your mother doesn't stop her. Especially your brother, he just timidly stands by without saying anything. I'm truly speechless. My brother's previous behavior at the hospital had truly left an unforgettable impression on them. No one could imagine such a tall, strong man being a henpecked husband and a mama's boy. Logically, these two traits are rare in men, but surprisingly, they were fully present in my brother. It was quite something, indeed. When Olivia was pregnant, she constantly caused trouble, offending almost every doctor and nurse in the obstetrics department. I forced a bitter smile. My other colleagues didn't feel comfortable saying anything more, only looking at me with sympathetic eyes. Perhaps, in the hearts of my colleagues, a girl like me living in a patriarchal family must have had a difficult life. And that was indeed the truth. Before, when Olivia was hospitalized here, she would demand all sorts of things from me throughout the process. Everyone saw it clearly. Of course, they all knew my life wasn't easy. So today, when I returned with a sad face, they clearly assumed I had suffered some injustice at home. I smiled bitterly, then pretended to say sadly, Olivia, I don't know where she heard it, but she said that after the baby was burned, the resulting scars are the unique dragon scales of a year of the dragon baby, and that way the baby will be brilliantly successful in the future, soaring to great heights. Poor little Leo, he was burned so badly his face is covered in blisters. I wanted to help, but I was scolded, told I was intentionally destroying their child's future. Where can I find justice? Am I really supposed to just watch my little nephew be scarred for life? I spoke, wiping away non-existent tears from the corners of my eyes. If I was going to act, I had to play the part fully. Of course, I would make good use of the public opinion around me. You want to see how your child becomes superior, soaring to great heights, don't you? Well, I'll see if you still come looking for me when things go wrong. By then, I won't acknowledge you. To avoid being trapped by moral obligation and blamed, I had to arrange everything beforehand. If they truly wanted to shift the blame onto me, they'd have to ask if I'd agree. Oh my God, is your sister-in-law insane? I even doubt if that baby is really hers anymore, Sophie gasped, and even Dr. Miller frowned. What happened, Jane? Tell us clearly. After I recounted what happened at home that day, everyone involuntarily drew a sharp breath. They looked at me with astonishment, seemingly unable to truly imagine such a thing happening in a family in the 21st century. Call the police immediately, Dr. Miller decisively ordered. Medical ethics come first, after all. We truly cannot watch a child suffer like this, especially when we are aware of it. I wiped away tears. My mother, Sarah, said if I dared to call the police, she would beat me to death, so I thought we could secretly call them. That way, even if the police come, they won't suspect me. After all, he's my own nephew. How could I be so heartless as to watch him endure such pain? My colleagues all looked at me with pity, patting my hand and sighing, "You truly have it hard, Jane. It's not your fault you were born into such a family. It's okay. After we call the police, at least we won't feel guilty about this." Dr. Miller patted my shoulder, telling me not to worry. "Don't worry, we won't say this is related to you. We'll just say we accidentally discovered it." I offered a grateful smile. In truth, I was genuinely very grateful to my colleagues. In my previous life, they had subtly hinted to me countless times that my nephew was not a good person. But I never listened, never paid attention. I only thought that we were family, that blood ties couldn't be broken, and they wouldn't harm me over this. But later, I discovered that in the face of self-interest, so-called blood ties were completely worthless. I returned to my desk and began writing a transfer request. Previously, the hospital had intended to send me to a branch in the neighboring city to be a chief physician. But before, because of Olivia's issues, I kept procrastinating. I only thought that taking good care of my family was the most important thing. But now it seemed how naive my thinking was back then. When Dr. Evans, the hospital director, saw the report I submitted, he was delighted, saying, "Jane, you've finally come to your senses. Someone as excellent as you deserves a better space to grow and should go to a larger place." I offered a grateful smile. "Thank you, Director. Please rest assured, after I arrive at my new workplace, I will definitely work hard and never bring shame to our hospital." I truly should thank the director. After all, this was an opportunity others could only dream of, but I had repeatedly let him down before. If the director hadn't truly valued me, I wouldn't have kept this position for so long. "Good. We've been waiting for you all along. Now that you agree, this matter will be even easier to resolve. Pack your things a bit. 3 days from now, report to the hospital in the neighboring city." The director looked at me, his eyes showing approval. "Although this time you're going to a city hospital, you must understand the superior's high regard for you." I nodded vigorously, revealing my gratitude. Our hospital was a provincial hospital. While moving to a city hospital might seem like a step down externally, my position would be elevated. Furthermore, the director said that going there now was to gild my resume, and in a few years, when my title was higher, I could still receive better treatment. It offered both a future and an escape from my current family. This was an opportunity I couldn't even dream of, so of course, I wouldn't refuse. After work, I returned to my apartment and began packing my luggage. After my brother and Olivia got married, my parents kicked me out. The euphemistic reason was that my brother and Olivia needed space at home. My room had also long been converted into a children's room. There was no longer any space for me in the house. I rented a small apartment myself and lived quite freely. Before leaving, I made one last trip home. But now the house was a chaotic mess. Sarah was endlessly yelling obscenities, while my father, John, chain-smoked. My brother cowered on the sofa, while Olivia, hands on her hips, stood at the door screaming curses. If I find out who gossiped and called the police to take my son for treatment, I will dig up their ancestors' graves. What kind of scum? They don't know anything. Their own children can't become dragons or phoenixes, so they get jealous of other people's children and have to pull these ridiculous stunts. I despise you. I curse your ancestors back 8 generations. Olivia's curses were incredibly vulgar, making me frown involuntarily. The surrounding neighbors had all shut their doors tightly, seemingly not wanting to hear anything more. Sarah saw me return, and Olivia's eyes immediately fell on me. Her suspicious gaze made me feel a little nauseous, but I still shook my head. The hospital was quite busy yesterday, so I stayed for overtime. "What happened at home? Where is Leo?" I intentionally pretended ignorance with that question. Sure enough, hearing me, Olivia immediately started yelling obscenities again. I don't know which heartless, wolf-hearted wretch went and accused me of child abuse. Now the boy has been taken to the hospital for treatment. I despise them, they know nothing. They have no idea those are the unique dragon scales of my dragon baby. My son will surely be brilliantly successful, superior to all others, and it's all thanks to these wolf-hearted beasts. Her screaming, like a deranged woman, truly made one not dare to look her in the eye. Stop yelling here, all the neighbors can hear you, and it sounds terrible, John said, smoking and frowning, but Olivia only got more agitated. He's your grandson too. How can you both be so happy seeing your own grandson unable to achieve brilliant success later on? Don't let me find out who reported this, or I'll skin them alive. Not wanting to stay and listen to any more of this nonsense, I pulled Sarah aside. Mother, the hospital recently transferred me to work in the neighboring city, so I might not be coming back for a while. Although I had long been disappointed in my mother, at this moment, I still couldn't help but offer a few words of advice. Olivia's temper, you should still try to manage it a bit, lest something big happens. I had only meant to offer a few words, but Sarah slapped my hand away and delivered a hard smack across my face. You wretched girl, what do you mean by that? Are you cursing your sister-in-law? The unexpected slap made my face sting fiercely, bringing me back to my senses. This slap completely shattered my illusions about my mother and fully enlightened me. It turned out some things were already predetermined, not as I had thought at all. I had thought mother at least still harbored some maternal affection for me, but now it seemed I had been deluding myself. And why are you suddenly moving? Are you trying to use this opportunity to abandon us? Let me tell you, you can go, but you still have to send me living expenses every month from now on. I said nothing, just silently looked at Sarah. Sarah seemed intimidated by my gaze. She gritted her teeth and glared at me fiercely. You heartless girl, such a big thing happened at home now, and you're just thinking about going out and enjoying yourself. I took a card from my backpack and handed it to her. From now on, I will deposit 2,000 yuan into this card every month. Consider it support for you and father, nothing more. Once Sarah took the card, I turned and left. I felt no attachment to that house whatsoever. As I walked out the door, I still heard Sarah happily tell John, she'll send 2,000 yuan to the card from now on. I didn't expect this wretched girl to be quite understanding. It's good she's not home, at least we save some expenses. John replied, that's right, daughters are meant to be married off. Later, we won't be able to openly take money from her. It's good to get some extra money while she's still unmarried. Although I had long expected such things, I don't know why, hearing my father's voice, I still felt a pang of sadness. I took a breath, looked back at the suffocating house, and finally let out a bitter laugh, turning and leaving without looking back. Once I decided to leave, there would be absolutely no stopping, no hesitation whatsoever. Everything had been prepared long ago, so my departure was incredibly smooth. When I arrived in the neighboring city, people here were very welcoming of my arrival. Previously, my parents, brother, and Olivia all knew where I worked, so whenever they had the slightest displeasure, they would come to my workplace for consultations. Each time, the consultation fees were charged under my name. Every year, just the miscellaneous medical expenses for the whole family amounted to 30,000 to 40,000. The consultation fees themselves were a small matter, but these people used my name every time they came for treatment, damaging my reputation at the hospital. Fortunately, my colleagues all understood I wasn't like that. Otherwise, I truly wouldn't have been able to exist in that hospital anymore. Now, moving to a new hospital was also a new beginning for me. My professional competence and qualifications were already excellent. It was just that at the previous hospital, all senior positions were basically filled, so I had no room for advancement. But now it was different. This new hospital needed thorough evaluation in many aspects. So, after only 2 months here, I had already ascended to the position of office head. Although it was only slightly higher than my initial position as chief physician, this was truly a good start. My salary also increased by more than 2/3 compared to before. For me, that was more than enough. I slowly began saving money, preparing to buy a house here. Before, I had already saved enough for a down payment, but my mother took it, saying a daughter didn't need that much money. She used that money as the bride price for Olivia and said, as long as there's a grandson in the family to continue the family line, that's enough. Other things aren't a big deal. I'm just a daughter, I'll marry someone else sooner or later. So my biggest use before getting married is to earn some more money for the family, to help my brother and sister-in-law. Now, after escaping the family, I finally discovered how beautiful this world truly was. I could breathe freely, do anything I wanted freely, without being bothered by these things. I didn't need to care about what others thought. Being myself was enough. I went to and from work punctually every day, and even working overtime occasionally didn't feel particularly exhausting. Aside from depositing 2,000 yuan into that bank card on time each month, I had no special contact with that family. Just then, I suddenly received a message from an old colleague. "You wouldn't believe it, Jane. Your mother was terrifying when she came here. She looked as if we owed her millions. And your father stood silently beside her. Your sister-in-law was like a madwoman, constantly yelling. I really feel for your nephew. Such a large scar on his face, you can tell it won't be easy to remove." Before, even though a kind-hearted citizen withdrew the complaint and took the baby for treatment, other complications still arose. Your sister-in-law and mother just refused to cooperate with the treatment. Hearing these fragmented words, I understood why my colleague said this matter was a bit troublesome for me. I don't know who leaked it, but they said someone from our hospital called the police. So your sister-in-law is now going crazy, coming to the hospital to pick fights. After learning this, I felt deeply apologetic. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, everyone wouldn't be implicated in this. I'm truly sorry." As I said this, I felt a pang of guilt. After all, Dr. Miller had always been very good to me, always caring. "Oh, we are doctors. Even if you hadn't told us about this, after we knew, we would still have called the police. This is our responsibility as doctors, have you forgotten? It's just that we heard your family saying they haven't been able to find you for a long time. They thought we had done something to you and kept demanding your new workplace. Dr. Miller mocked them last time, and they left, but I guess they'll definitely come looking for you again. Be careful, and if anything goes wrong, call us or the police directly." Hearing my colleague's lengthy words of concern, I felt incredibly warm inside. In truth, sometimes, some things don't need to be too explicit. My friends and colleagues cared for me even more than my own family. I had been away for so long, and my mother had never called me. Even if she occasionally messaged, it was only to ask why the money was a few days late this month. I had long lost all hope for this family. So, when I heard my colleague say that, I merely let out a cold laugh, not considering it a big deal. I would just go about my daily life, absolutely not letting this affect my mood. After all, I knew these people were insatiable leeches. If I truly allowed myself to suffer for their sake, I could never hope for a good day in this life. But accidents still happen. When I went to the capital for an exchange program, I saw a very disheveled couple in the lobby. The man sat dejectedly on a chair, while the woman next to him held a child, crying ceaselessly. Next to them was another slightly older couple, extremely anxious, mumbling incessantly. Since I was wearing a mask, they didn't recognize me as I passed by. The younger couple was my brother and Olivia. The couple next to them were my parents, John and Sarah. When I heard Sarah's panicked voice, I felt a hint of sarcasm in my heart. I knew immediately that their so-called dragon baby would certainly have problems. I just didn't expect them to come so quickly. After returning to my department, I pretended to casually inquire about my brother and Olivia's situation. The doctor from that department, hearing my question, showed anger on her face. Honestly, I've never seen such ignorant parents. They truly don't treat their child as a human being. Dr. Allen, who was always gentle and polite, now suddenly being so angry truly made everyone pay attention. You cannot imagine that mother using boiling water to create large scars on her son to give him these dragon scales. After being stopped by local police and receiving treatment, she didn't give up. She took the child home and directly used a red-hot iron rod in the shape of dragon scales to brand him. Oh my God, this isn't something a mother would do. She's truly an animal. Although I had mentally prepared myself, hearing this now, I couldn't help but widen my eyes in shock. I couldn't imagine these things being done by my college-educated sister-in-law. I also didn't expect someone to be this ignorant. Oh my God, her husband didn't care at all. That's too insane. A colleague next to me couldn't help but cover her mouth in shock. Dr. Allen gritted her teeth and said, "Her husband is useless. His child is in such pain, and he doesn't care at all, just keep smoking there. I've told them countless times that cigarette smoke irritates the baby the most, but no one in their family cares." Instead, the baby's grandmother kept barging in and attacking me, claiming our medical skills were incompetent, which is why her grandson's skin is now ulcerated, his wounds are infected, oozing pus, and he has a high fever. Dr. Allen almost wanted to cry laugh as she said this. I also silently kept my mouth shut. Everyone in the office whispered about this incident. They were genuinely too shocked, as they had never imagined such ignorant people still existed in this day and age. This truly surpassed their understanding. I didn't participate in the discussion, just put on a sorrowful expression, while inside I couldn't help but laugh coldly. Sure enough, without my involvement in this life, that group of people wouldn't have a good ending. In my previous life, they latched onto me, constantly sucking my blood, playing the role of suffocating, starved leeches. Now it was good. Conversely, without a host, their lives were a muddy mess. Office head Jane, I remember that family. It seems, someone in the office said, as if suddenly realizing something. Everyone looked at me and I calmly admitted, yes, that is indeed my family, that is my family. I recounted the entire story. Everyone looked at me with sympathetic eyes. After all, having a family like that in a way was truly suffering. Many people had also found related news articles from before. After reading these articles, they all found it incredibly hard to believe that someone could still do such things, and right beside them. They helplessly patted my shoulder, expressing their sympathy. Yesterday after work, I received a call from Sarah again. I hadn't even had a chance to speak when I heard Sarah on the other end rattle on, "Your big nephew here has some health problems. From now on, you'll send me an extra 3,000 yuan every month." Hearing Sarah's authoritative tone, I found it somewhat amusing. "Now, I only earn a total of 6,000 yuan a month. If I send you 5,000, do you expect me to live?" My tone was calm, but Sarah completely ignored this, instead saying somewhat irritably, "I don't care about that much. Something big happened at home now, you have to give us money. Normally, you can just eat and live in a dormitory, you don't need to spend any money." Sarah used to say this to me, and I never saw a problem, but now I only felt immense sorrow in my heart. "So, mother, you're willing to disregard your daughter's life or death for your son, is that right?" I had thought that by saying this, Sarah might show a shred of conscience, but to my surprise, she unleashed a torrent of abuse, using such foul language that it left me bewildered. Were these truly words a mother could say to a daughter? Could we really pretend nothing had happened and remain a family? "From now on, I will only send you 2,000 yuan a month, no more. If you're not satisfied, you can sue me and see if the court's judgment will be higher than this amount." I was completely heartbroken, and I hung up the phone without any hesitation. I had previously consulted a lawyer. In this situation, even if I had to fulfill my duty of support, it would only be a minimum of 800 yuan per person per month, totaling only 1,600 yuan for two. I believed that given Sarah's temperament, she would still want the extra 400 yuan. Afterwards, Sarah did indeed call to pick fights with me a few times, but I directly blocked all their contact methods, only depositing 2,000 yuan into the card on time each month. Nothing else. Although my brother and Olivia had saved the baby, due to his severe injuries and persistent high fever, Leo suffered intellectual disabilities. The poor child was covered in scars, and his intelligence was very low. This became a typical case on the news, and my brother and Olivia became the laughingstock of the entire region. I don't know what kind of person that child will grow up to be, but none of it concerns me. After escaping the clutches of my family, I became freer. That family did indeed try to find me a few times, but my colleagues were very secretive and didn't tell them anything.